What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind, your favorite health and fitness millennial online trainer. Today is our live Q&A where I jump on with my clients, answer some questions from the DMs, from their check-in forms live. Hopefully breaking some things down for you guys that'll make life a little bit easier on your health and fitness journey. If you are a current client and you have not gotten your ticket yet for the in-person event on January 3rd, shoot me a message and let's get you signed up. It's $100 and you're going to get 90 minutes with me, Angela, in a select group of clients only. We are reserving the entire Poseidon cold plunge and sauna. It's at 10 a.m. Again, 90 minutes. There's going to be a fire pit, obviously the cold plunge, the sauna, some snacks, just a time for us to chill, hang out, connect, and set our vision for 2026 with our goals. On top of that, you're getting a $200 gift card to give to a family member or friend to join as well. You're also getting a Hinton Nation t-shirt. You're also getting entered in to win a $200 gift certificate for a customized supplement pack. That is done on December 15th. So make sure that you reach out if you want to get it done. Let's get into it. We've got Sarah here live with us right now. Sarah, go ahead and unmute, share a win, and drop a question for me.
Hey, I finally got onto this app. My win would be that I've just been completely nailing it, staying on track with my macros and my calories and my workouts, and I've been avoiding temptations, and I'm just killing it right now. So I'm quite excited about that.
Amazing. Yeah, you have been. Your numbers are like perfect. We just did your check-in. Everything's been looking really, really good. So I'm really excited for you.
I don't think I have a question. I kind of just popped in to see if anybody had questions that I didn't know I had. So
Yeah, that happens a lot, right? So let me go ahead. I wrote
yeah.
down a few questions here. A lot of these are going to be food-related things. So I know that a lot of people will get some help from this. Let's get into it. So the first one I have here is, how do I track my meals if I eat out or get takeout a lot? So first off, don't get takeout a lot. There's a overall like vision that I want you guys to have when it comes to dining out and tracking your food. And then I'll get into some of the nitty gritty stuff and like a little bit more practical things you can implement right away. So first and foremost, if you're on a health and fitness journey, this is something that I need to emphasize. If you are trying to lose weight or build muscle or change your physique, you can't eat out every day. Can't. Apostrophe T. You cannot eat out every day. Realistically, like here, you technically could, and you could lose weight doing it, but fuck me, is it unreliable? Is it much, much harder to stick to a calorie deficit when you're dieting, when you're dining out and ordering processed foods? It's so much harder. It is so much harder. The amount of calories you're getting from something that you order out with and the very low amount of protein that you get compared to a similar type meal that you could just make at home, obviously it's not going to be the same thing. Yes, you have to buy the groceries and make the food, and it's probably not going to taste as delicious as whatever takeout you're getting. That's the point. That's why we don't typically do it, right? Like that's why takeout exists, because it's objectively better in terms of like satisfying that craving or scratching that itch or having that delicious thing. Obviously, because otherwise you would never be tempted or care to do it, and you would just make food at home all the time. But at the same time, obviously, doing the thing that you want to right now, which is quick and easy, is almost never going to be the direction you need to go to get to your health and fitness goals. So if we just use common sense for a second and say, hey, I want to be fitter, I want to be healthier, I want to make better decisions, I want to be a more disciplined person. Like, put your fucking hand up if that's you. 100% of everyone listening to this is going to be like, yeah, that's part of the reason why I listen to this. That's part of the reason why I'm in Taylor's community. I want to be more disciplined. I want to be leaner. I want to be healthier, fitter, stronger, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Dining out all the time makes that harder. That being said, you're here because you know that with my guidance and using the tools that I've given you, you have the flexibility and freedom to do that once in a while. What's that look like? 1 to 2 times per week at most. That's like, and that is your fucking Starbucks sandwich, by the way. That counts. So that's your Frappuccino at Tim Hortons. That counts. That is your 1 out of 2 max per week that you dine out with. So first off, I would say If you're going to go dine out, make it worth it. Get something that you are genuinely going to enjoy, not just something quick and easy like some fucking chicken nuggets, in a large Coke, which is ridiculous. Get a diet. Okay? Stick to 1 to 2 times per week. Just from a philosophical, I want to be a healthier, fitter person, it starts there. Next, when you are going to like a large chain restaurant, like any fast food restaurant or Cactus Club, or, put it in the chat, Sarah, a couple other like really common restaurants that you might want to go to, not fast food, but something kind of like a Cactus Club. You got like Red Robin is another one. I'm trying to think, Milestones. Give me a couple more, Sarah, in the chat. If you're going to a place like that, the cool thing about it is because they're like a large chain restaurant, most of the time their food is actually going to be in MyFitnessPal. So you could just simply search up, like say if you were going to Cactus Club and getting their tuna poke bowl, you could just search up Cactus Club tuna poke bowl. And then there's probably going to be a couple different options in there still, because if you remember, MyFitnessPal, our food tracking app that we use for free, the one I've been using for coming up on 11 years now, anybody can add any foods into it. Like you can get an account in the same minute, go and add and create a new food item in MyFitnessPal. You could make like a Cactus Club dog shit sandwich with 300 grams of protein per serving. You could make that a real thing inside MyFitnessPal. So knowing that we have to be, like diligent about how we're tracking our food. So what you would do is if you were going to have that tuna poke bowl from Cactus Club, is you would go into MyFitnessPal, you'd search up Cactus Club tuna poke bowl. There's going to be a few different options. How do you know which one's which? Easy. Open up a page on Google on your phone and look up Cactus Club nutrition facts. And then you're going to find the tuna poke bowl, and it's going to tell you the calories and the protein. And then you're going to match that up with the entry in MyFitnessPal. Select the one that's closest to the one that you see on the nutrition facts on the website for the restaurant. And that's the one that you pick. That's what I did when I went to Chipotle. Speaking of Chipotle and like other ways of tracking too, is some restaurants have their full menu inside MyFitnessPal. So when I searched up Chipotle, one of the first options in the search bar was Chipotle menu. And then when I clicked on that button, it redirected me to the Chipotle menu inside MyFitnessPal. And you can scroll and find every single item that they have, including all of their sides and stuff like that. Just going to see what Sarah said for her couple other restaurants. Earl's, Starbucks. Yes, exactly. Those chain restaurants makes it so much easier because you can typically just search the name of the restaurant and the food that you're getting, double check the nutrition facts from the website for the restaurant that you're at, matched up with the item in MyFitnessPal, you're good to go. So as I was saying, yeah, like my Chipotle, probably McDonald's, probably a lot of chain restaurants. They're going to have their own menu in there. You can normally pick stuff from there. When I selected my Casa Ana, whatever the fuck, Chipotle bowl that I had, it was like their new specialty limited item or whatever. I couldn't just unfortunately add just the bowl, and I didn't want to either, because you got to think about it. Think about it like logically for a second. When you go to Chipotle, you can add like 2 scoops of rice. You could add 2 servings of beef. You could add guac, cheese or no cheese, how much sauce, right? Like you can customize it quite a bit. So I did go into the Chipotle menu and then add like rice, 1 serving, check. Beef, 2 servings, check. And I went through each item that I added in there. And yeah, it took a few more seconds because I had to keep typing Chipotle and then click the menu and then go scroll and find the item that I was having. But then it's precise. And if that's a problem, if you have an issue, if you're like, oh, that's too much work, then you don't deserve it. You just don't. Because it doesn't take that much work. It's 2025. We have technology that allows us to literally search up the calories that you're eating and reliably get to your goals if you're just consistent. There's all the barriers to being fit and healthy have been lowered dramatically over the last 20 years. It's easier now than it's literally ever been to be healthy and fit. You just have to employ a little bit of work. Yes, you will always, always, always have to be a little bit disciplined at the very least, very consistent, and willing to put effort in. And if that effort threshold is too high for you and it's like I got to type in multiple things in MyFitnessPal, then you straight up you don't deserve it. You do not deserve to be fit. That's it. Simple. You have to actually be willing to do a little bit of work. Tiny little bit of work. Okay. So that would be like item number 1, like how you could track. There's a couple different ways you could track it that way. Now, what if you're going to a restaurant that's like kind of like a niche, small little mom and pop shop? You know, like you're going to a Matt Squee Diner if you live in Abbotsford. I used to go there as a kid all the time with my family. It's just like some breakfast joint, little hole in the wall place. Definitely not in my Fitness Pal. Or you're going to Lou's Bar and Grill and you're getting a burger or something. Well, now we can just use, again, we're going to use our logical brain and we're just going to find an equivalent item in my Fitness Pal that matches the thing you're eating. So, like, if you're going, let's see what Sarah's got to say in here. Break apart the meal. Exactly. Like, you want to enter in your food. When she says break apart the meal, she means that you need to enter in the food items that make up that food as separate entries. So if you were like going to have, you know, we're going to use the example of a burger, and I'm going to give you two different ways to track it. You're having a burger at a different restaurant that doesn't have the items in my Fitness Pal. Like, you're not going to find the Lou's Bar and Grill, the hole in the wall place, but you're having a burger, okay? Well, you could easily just go burger bun and then click one of the options there. If you ordered when that burger came to your table and it's a fucking huge bun, like bigger than your average bun, maybe you're going to put in 1.5 servings of hamburger bun just to get a rough number, right? Then there's some mayo in there. You put that in there. How much? I don't know, maybe a tablespoon, maybe two because you're at a restaurant and they slop it up. Barbecue sauce, 2 tablespoons. You know, maybe there's a beef patty in there. I'm not going to search up beef patty or hamburger patty because now you're going to get all these random generic 1 serving portions of beef patty. But like how big is one patty that's in my Fitness Pal versus the one that you're having at that little ma and pa restaurant? We have no idea. But what is a beef patty in its fundamental form? It's just ground beef, right? Okay, cool. Let's just type in regular ground beef because they probably didn't make it as an extra lean patty. They probably have a budget and they got the cheap stuff. So it's regular ground beef with a lot of extra fat in there. You take a look at it and you're going to make a visual guess at how many grams it is inside my Fitness Pal. No, you shouldn't bring your food scale to the restaurant. We're not going to be psychos about this whole thing. It's 1 out of 21 meals, right? You have 3 meals a day on average, right? You do that 7 days a week, 21 meals, simple math. One of those meals is that meal out that you have. You do a rough guess. You get kind of close. Maybe you're still off by quite a bit, 300, 400, 500 calories. Not that big a deal if you're off by 500 calories by the end of the week. I've already accounted for that because I've put you in a calorie deficit that allows you to lose weight even if you kind of fuck up on one meal, okay? But you got to be trying your best. So for the beef patty, you put in ground beef at 100 grams maybe. Who knows? How do we know it's 100 grams? We don't, because we're not weighing it because we're not psychos. But we're using our intuition because we have been for multiple weeks at the very least tracking our food diligently each and every single day. And you've tracked and eaten ground beef on multiple occasions. So you have a little bit of awareness around the visual size of what 100 grams might look like. So you're trying to use your intuition this way. This is the beautiful part about tracking your macros that allows you to eat intuitively once you've hit your goal, because you've spent so much time tracking that you have a really good idea by looking at how big the food is and how much it is, of how, like, roughly how many calories it might be. So you can make like estimated guesses, right? So you could add it in as bun 1.5, ground beef 100 grams, mayo 2 tablespoons, and of course at home we're not tracking in tablespoons, we're always grams or milliliters, but we don't have the scale, of course, so you're just going to use your best estimate. 2 tablespoons here, 2 tablespoons for the barbecue sauce. Maybe there's some cheese on there, so you throw like 1 slice American cheese. It's a lot of cheese, 2 slices. Okay, like you're really just using your best guess, right? French fries, you're having like 1 serving of French fries. I don't know. It's going to be really hard to kind of guess. I'm not counting the fries. I'm not tracking it as 57 fries. God forbid you eat 57 fries at once. But you're just making your best guess looking at it, really. And here's the other thing you could do too. Like, again, like, let's just step away from trying to be perfect with it for a second and think logically and be like, okay, well, what is French fries? It's fucking potatoes, right? And obviously it's been fried in oil, so it's potatoes and oil. You could track it as X amount servings of potato and X amount serving of oil, because those are the 2 ingredients that make fries. Simple. You could track it that way too. And then what I do nowadays, unless I'm like dieting hard, if I'm in maintenance, what I'll do is I will just like search up a generic burger. Like if I'm going to a burger restaurant, again, I can't find the actual restaurant and the exact calories because it's not online. It's a little mom and pop place. I'm just going to go hamburger and hit search in my Fitness Pal. There's going to be dozens of different options. And I'm going to look at the hamburger that I have and I'm going to see what the ingredients are. Mayo, lots of barbecue sauce, lots of cheese. There's 2 patties. There's bacon on it. It's definitely going to be one of the higher calorie options, so I'm just going to go ahead and search that up. If it was a bacon cheeseburger, that's simple. Just search up bacon cheeseburger in MyFitnessPal. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close-ish to what you're actually eating, so you could do it that way too. And again, the whole overarching theme for this whole thing, the philosophy of it is you don't have to worry about being perfect with this stuff if you're doing it only once or twice a week at most. You're tracking all your other meals and you're being very consistent with your diet, with your steps, with your water, with your training. And you're doing your weigh-ins and measurements weekly and you're seeing progress. If all those things you're checking all those boxes and the progress is still happening, then like you're okay to go have that meal and be a little inaccurate on it, right? Milliliters and grams, mister. What did I say? Did I say something else? Sorry, I always fuck up. Things like that. Okay, let's go to another question. I've got another one here. Do I need to weigh everything or can I use hand portions, eyeballing it sometimes? 90% no, you can't just eyeball it. I would say like you should try your absolute best in all occasions to just weigh your food out. And there's absolutely no excuse for you to not do this when you're at home eating and preparing the groceries that you made with your food scale at home. There's no excuse to not track it properly.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed that like when I first started and I thought, oh, I could like eyeball some things, that I was like way off as well. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point because like if you're newer to tracking and you haven't been doing it for a while and you haven't necessarily built a lot of momentum where you can like reliably know, oh, I'm going to weigh in a couple pounds lower this week or something. Like if you're not at that stage, then you definitely should not be eyeballing it. And you definitely should not be eyeballing calorie dense foods. And if you don't know what that means or what that looks like or the difference between nutritionally dense versus calorie dense foods is, then you're not allowed to eyeball it, period. Okay, you should know the difference between the two. Let me break it down. Calorie dense foods are foods that are going to have a lot of calories for a small serving. Nutritionally dense foods, there comes an asterisk with it because there are some nutritionally dense foods that are also calorie dense, like eggs are like a calorie dense but very high quality food source. Red meat is going to be calorie dense but also a very high quality nutrition source. So you need to be considerate of these things. Like the difference, here's a good way to think about it. Like the difference between, 15 grams or milliliters of olive oil and 15 grams of zucchini, they're 2 different universes completely. Because 15 mil of olive oil is like 120 calories, I think. I'm just off the top of my head. It's got to be at least 80. 80 to 120 calories for 15 mil of olive oil, which is a drop in the bucket, literally. Like that's how much you would just like free pour in your pan when you're making your eggs. And that will completely throw off your numbers. And if you're doing that every single day, you absolutely will not lose weight. You might, but I'm telling you, if you're being precise with things and we're working off of like small margins and we're trying to be like really diligent about things, but then you're free pouring oil in the pan to make your food, you're fucking up big time. But if you just throw a handful of lettuce in your salad, I'm not tracking that because it's not very calorie dense. So what's the difference? Like what's the measurable thing I can use, Taylor? Because everything that I do with me and my clients is very measurable. It's black and white. It's either right or wrong, right? And we have to have those clear, hard and fast rules so that it makes it simple for us to get the results that we want. The rule that we use, and you're going to want to write this down, is the 20-100 rule. Not 2100. It's 20/100. Okay? The 20-100 rule refers to how many calories you're consuming per 100 grams. So if you want to know, like, what can I eyeball or kind of like rough guess track versus things I must track diligently in grams, open up MyFitnessPal, find that food item that you're thinking about, and enter it in as 100 grams as one serving, and take a look at the calories. If the calories are 20 or less per 100 grams, personally, I don't think you need to track it. Okay? The caveat comes if you're going to like abuse that rule and eat fuckloads of vegetables that are right on the brim of having 20 calories per 100 grams, and you're having like this giant salad. So let's imagine for a second, when I'm dieting and I'm trying to lose weight, I'll cut my calories back dramatically. Like I'll do a very hard cut for 4 to 6 weeks at 1,800 calories and drop, at least a pound per week doing that, typically closer to 2. So if I needed to drop 12 pounds in a month or a little over a month, I can do that by just sticking to really tight numbers. But to stick to that calorie deficit that's so low and keeping me really hungry all the time, what I'll do is bloat up with a lot of vegetables, especially at lunchtime. And this is where my diet and my groceries will kind of shift. This is where I'm getting a lot of romaine lettuce and cucumbers and red onion and tomato and stuff like that. So if I had my big ass salad that I do, I literally cannot fit it into a normal dish. I use the biggest mixing bowl that we would use for baking, and that's what I make my salad in. I'll use an entire head of lettuce, an entire cucumber, at least half of a cucumber, giant handful of cherry tomatoes, half of an onion. Normally I'll throw some pickles in there as well. That would be at the very least, but maybe throwing some more vegetables. And then on top of that, I'm going to throw a little bit of Greek yogurt to kind of make it creamy, and then either a tuna or some chicken breast, and just mix that up and eat it like that, because it's going to be very high in protein and fiber and very low in calories for the entire bowl. But when you're eating that on a daily basis, there are definitely going to be several hundred calories that if you were to not track them because they technically fit that 20-100 rule, it adds up over time. That salad, just the vegetables alone, is probably like 300 calories between all the veggies that I eat. So if I didn't track that, like, it does impact your results. So typically, like, that 20-100 rule that I employ is when I'm just adding a serving of vegetables to the rest of my like calorie dense food. So dinner, for example, last night for me was 200 grams of pasta plus 200 grams of extra lean ground beef, 30 grams of cheese, and 20 grams of teriyaki sauce. And then on the side of that, with like mixed into that bowl, I had cooked cabbage and kale. And I think I actually did weigh it out just to see. And it was about 250 grams of vegetables between the cabbage and the kale. And again, they were cooked. I had just recently cooked them, so they had a bit more moisture in them. So it added a decent amount of weight. I didn't bother tracking the cabbage and the kale because kale is so damn low in calories. It'd be almost impossible to eat enough to be worth tracking. The cabbage, truthfully, haven't even bothered trying to track it. But I know that at my 2,500 calories, and again, I'm in a maintenance phase right now. I'm not like trying to lose or gain weight, so I can be a little bit looser with things. And I'm weighing myself weekly, so I'm comparing, what I'm eating and how much and stuff that I am tracking versus the results I'm getting on the scale. As long as I'm within a couple pounds of that ideal maintenance weight for me, then I'm totally fine, and I'll just stick with that. But that's a case where like you probably don't need to track those vegetables. If you are using vegetables as the primary source of your entire meal, like that big ass salad I was talking about, then you should probably track, at least in a rough sense. So the way that I would do that, making that big salad, rather than tracking the lettuce as a separate entry than the tomatoes and the onions and all the other stuff separately, I just track one of those vegetables and I'll weigh out the entire bowl of just the vegetables before I add in the Greek yogurt and the meat. Okay? So, and the reason why is like, think about, again, like, let's take ourselves away from this like perfect tracking mentality into like, what is the calorie and macronutrient impact of the food that I'm eating? They're different colors, they're different vegetables, they have different vitamins and minerals, different amounts of fiber, but we're less concerned about those numbers and we're more concerned about the calories and the macros. So what is tomatoes, cucumber, lettuce, celery? What are vegetables from a macronutrient perspective? It's just carbs, okay? They're all in different portions. I understand that. Some of them are more calorie dense than others, even though not by much, but some of them have, like red onion and tomatoes, has more calories per serving than romaine lettuce and kale. But I don't need to get super picky with that. I'm just going to weigh out all the chopped up vegetables together and put it in as a round number as one vegetable. So if I have some lettuce and some tomato and some red onion and a bunch of other things, I have like 5 different vegetables, I'll just pick one of the vegetables that's kind of in the middle calorie dense wise, and I'll just track that in my FitnessPal. So in my FitnessPal, it would look like 500 grams of tomatoes or 500 grams of romaine lettuce or something like that. or 500 grams of red onion. So I don't need to be perfect with it because I know that what all of those vegetables contribute to, it's not going towards protein, it's not going towards fat, it's all just going towards carbs at the end of the day. So I'll just like track it as that one vegetable just to make it a little bit easier when I'm in MyFitnessPal. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Excuse me. Okay, so this one comes up quite a bit actually. The question is, and I'm just going to like restate it myself. If I'm low on protein, but I've hit my calories, what's more important? Hitting my protein target, even if it means exceeding my calories, or sticking to my calories and being low on protein for the day? Generally, the answer will, Generally, the answer will always be stick to your calories because calories are king. Okay. In terms of the weight on the scale that you're trying to achieve, your calories are universally the one and only thing that matter. How you feel, how you look, how you perform, how hungry you are, your digestion, your hormones, your energy levels, if I didn't already say that, your sleep, your mood, your libido, so many other things will be determined by your macronutrient and micronutrient profiles. We're not even going to look at micronutrient profiles. I'm not a fucking scientist or a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. But I know, logically, that including majority of your calories as whole foods, so roughly 80% of your calories coming from whole foods, which include meats, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and some dairy even. If 80% of my calories come from those food sources and I'm hitting my protein target, then I'm going to cover my bases for the most part. I did a little sidebar for you guys. I did an audit on my nutrition recently using ChatGPT, which I know isn't going to be perfect, but it's better than me guessing. And it's easier than going to the doctor and cheaper than going to a dietitian or nutritionist. I just plugged in all the foods that I eat on a daily basis in the amounts that I eat them, because I'm pretty damn consistent with eating almost the same thing every day. And I was asking it to tell me what I'm potentially deficient in. And for me, it came up with iodine and magnesium. Magnesium, universally, we're probably all a little bit deficient on. So I went to the grocery store a couple days after that, and instead of getting sea salt, I got iodized salt. I got some sardines, some mackerel, which I've never eaten either of them. They've always scared me. Just the idea, the names of them just are enough to scare me away. Which actually, they just straight up tasted like tuna. It was no different in my mind. Angela has different thoughts. Most people probably will disagree with me, but I'm not very picky with my food. Fish in a can smells and tastes like fish in a can as far as I'm concerned. So that was going to be for the what was I? Oh, omegas. Omegas was also something that I was missing in my diet. So omega-3 specifically, iodine and magnesium. I got the iodized salt. I add salt to every meal. Check that box. I got a magnesium supplement. I take one pill in the morning with my vitamin D and C. Check that box. I still need to get the fish oil, but I wanted to get the fish itself first just to see if I was capable of eating it 2-3 times a week. Doing that is a really simple way to cover the micronutrient stuff. Back to the question of what's more important, hitting my protein, if it means I'm going over my calories, or just sticking to my calories, being lower on protein on that day. The simple answer is sticking to your calories is what's going to get you to the physical results that you have asked for. So if it means you have to be a little bit low on your protein one day, so be it. It's not the end of the world. But I would definitely ask you to say, hey, like, if I'm consistently too low on my protein, then obviously you need to make some changes with the food choices that you're making. Typically, really simple option is just picking some leaner protein options. That's going to be 0% plain Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, extra lean ground beef, chicken breast, cans of tuna, protein powder, eggs, egg whites. Specifically, egg whites are going to be like lean. Whole eggs are great. You should always include them if you're in a diet. And for me, I eat 6 whole eggs every day, just in my maintenance. But if I was really trying to cut hard, I'd probably go to 3 eggs and 300 grams of egg whites so that I can maintain the same amount of protein, maybe even exceeding it, while keeping the calories lower by removing a lot of the yolk because it has a lot of fat in it. So first things first, what are you doing to not hit your protein, and what do you need to change? Fix that. Right now, for today, it's an immediate thing. You can't fix it. Stick to the calories. Particularly if you have a weight loss goal. Because if you're eating too many calories, you won't lose the weight, okay? If you are, if you have a weight gain goal, I mean, even then, I guess, really, I mean, because if you're trying to gain weight, then having a little bit more calories than normal probably isn't that big of a deal, right? But it's so nuanced. It's different for each person because I have some clients who are on like their quote unquote bulking phase right now, but they're kind of on the upper end of where their body fat should be, and I don't really want them to gain much more weight. So I would tell that person, hey, like stick to the calories, don't exceed protein if it means that you have to increase your calories beyond what I've given you. So it's different for everybody, but generally like 90% of the time the answer for everybody is going to be stick to the calories and then audit your nutrition, fix your diet so that you can have leaner protein sources because your problem is probably that you're eating like protein throughout the day and you're like, wow, I'm really making an active effort to eat enough protein, but I'm still too short by the time I hit my calories. It's probably because you're eating fattier choices of proteins. So you're probably getting the regular like 2% yogurt when you should just get like a 0%, and it's probably flavored. So you're getting extra fat and you're getting, extra carbs from the sweetener in there. If you went to plain 0%, you're going to cut way back on the carbs and the fat is going to be down to 0, of course. So that'll fix that up. If you're having regular or even lean ground beef, you need to switch it to extra lean ground beef. Like that's probably the easiest fix. And it's probably the number one contributor to you exceeding your calories and not being able to hit your protein. And honestly, the price tag is really not that big of a difference. You won't notice it in your budget if you switch from extra lean ground beef to regular to extra lean. And you're going to save yourself literally hundreds of calories every day by making that one change and still being able to eat the same portion, which is really cool. Like if there's any type of magic bullet or hack or like tricks with dieting, like magic tricks, it's literally switching from regular ground beef to extra lean because the same 200 grams is going to have more protein, less fat, and less calories, meaning that you're going to eat the same portion of food, but you're going to be leaner. Like that's really, really cool. So keep that in mind. And then if you could also be, another thing is like not just that you're eating fattier meats, but you're probably adding a lot of different like butters and oils and sauces and like condiments and stuff to your foods that you don't need. Like I've seen people who are trying to lose weight and they're like, like some of my clients who are starting out and they're like, I don't know how to hit my protein. I keep hitting my calories way too early, but they're having 40 grams of peanut butter every day. Like stop, switch to a pounder of peanut butter either, or cut it out for the day or cut it in half, you don't need that much peanut butter. You really don't. It's one of the things, like, man, I love peanut butter. I rarely eat it because it's just so calorie dense. Let me see here if there's anything else I can quickly tack on before we finish up. We're already, over our typical time frame, but I like to be able to do a bit more if I can. Let's see what we got. How do I track oils, sauces, butter, and quote, little bites when I am cooking? Don't take little bites. This is the discipline part. Okay. There's not a whole lot of things that require tons and tons of like hardcore discipline for you to be fit and healthy. And I don't consider this to be a hardcore discipline thing, but stop snacking on the food that you're cooking while you're cooking it. Damn it. Easy fix. If you want to stop being fat, you want to lose weight, stop doing that stupid little shit. That's not adding anything to your life. It's not a big sacrifice. It's not like, oh no, I just can't do it. There's no way I can stop having the little bites when I'm cooking. Stop it. Have a bottle of water beside you and switch to that. And just forget about the fact that you ever had little bites. Out of sight, out of mind. Easy fix. Be a little bit more disciplined. Very simple. How do I track the sauces, oils, and butters? Well, first off, limit them. You don't need nearly as much as you think. Everybody that, family and friends who aren't, on a fitness journey necessarily, when I see them cook, they are blindly adding way more fats and sauces and oils and butters to their dishes than they need, excessive amounts. And you know this if you're that person, because when you're done cooking, you got this giant pool of oil and butter. When you're done cooking your meat and everything's drained out of the pan, you're just adding way more than you need, So you can cut back, like challenge yourself to be ruthless with cutting back on the oil and butter that you're cooking with. You don't need as much as you think. Sauces, I typically will, if I'm cooking with a sauce, then straight up, I won't add it in my MyFitnessPal. So like, for example, last night when I was cooking up this cabbage and this cool new wok Angela got for us, I put a little bit of teriyaki sauce in the wok and soy sauce, which has 0 calories. But I didn't track the teriyaki sauce because one, it's being mixed into multiple different servings of green cabbage that I'll be eating throughout the rest of the week. So by the time I actually add that one portion of cabbage that has a tiny bit of sauce on it, it's negligible in terms of calories. And most, excuse me, most of it pools up at the bottom of the wok anyway. And I'm not like saving that sauce and oil and juice afterwards or anything. I'm not pouring that on my food. So like 10, only like, I don't know, let's say 50% to be generous. 50% of it actually ends up in the food that I'm going to eat. And then even then, I'm not eating all of that all at one time. I'm cooking a batch of it so that I can eat it throughout the week. So divide that 50% of the, let's call it 40 grams of teriyaki sauce I added into the pan. Cut that in half down to 20 grams now instead. And then divide that by 7 because I'm going to have it in 7 different meals. It's negligible at that point. So I really wouldn't. This is my like general rule of thumb when it comes to like barbecue sauces and like when do I track it? If you're using it as a marinade and then you're cooking, let's say you're marinating chicken breast with some barbecue sauce, okay? Have it in a container or in a Ziploc bag for a couple days, marinating with lots of barbecue sauce. The whole thing's covered, right? And then you take that chicken breast out and you throw it on the barbecue in the pan or in the oven or something. I'm not going to bother tracking that barbecue sauce because it's just like a little glaze that's covered the whole thing. And then you cook it, and then some of it's going to be deconstructed when it's cooking too. So you're really left over with negligible numbers. But if you take that same chicken breast and you cook it, and then you lather a bunch of barbecue sauce on after, and you eat that, logic tells us that there's going to be an impact. There's a calorie load that's associated with that barbecue sauce because you just poured it on while you're cooking it, and you're going to eat a good portion of that, right? So you should track that for sure. And how do you track it? The same way you would track everything else. To make it easy, I would put the barbecue sauce on the food scale, turn on the food scale so it's tared down to 0, and then put your portion on your food that you're going to eat, put the barbecue sauce container back on the scale while you have it turned on the whole time, right? And now you're going to get a negative reading because you just poured some of it out onto the food you're about to eat. That's the stuff that you put in MyFitnessPal. That's going to be it for right now, guys. I hope that you guys got a ton of value out of this. If you're a client and you haven't yet got a ticket for the in-person event, January 3rd, 10 a.m., 90 minutes of cold plunge and sauna at Poseidon's Sauna and Cold Plunge. It's $100. It gives you a ticket to the event. It gives you a month for free. I don't know if I mentioned that originally or like at the beginning of this chat at the very least. So $100 gives you another month of coaching for free. It gives you the 90-minute session to come meet us in person. It gives you a t-shirt. It gives you entered in to win a $200 supplement gift package customized to you. And you get a gift card to give to somebody else to join Hinton Nation. So it's like literally that's one of your Christmas gifts that you have to buy. You're getting t-shirt, month of coaching, gift card for somebody else, entered in to win a supplement pack for $100. Pretty awesome deal in terms of like gift for somebody else for Christmas, a gift for yourself, and getting to hang out with us in person and shoot the shit. So, and if you're not a client and you're getting value out of this, I'd love for you to subscribe to the Apple podcast. Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind. Just hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to this later and you are interested in getting some coaching done, shoot me a message on Instagram at HintonNation_coaching, and I'll ask you a few questions, see if we're a good fit. If that makes sense, then we'll book a call. We'll have that call. We'll come up with a plan for you. And if all of that makes sense, we'll look at some options for you to get started. That's it. Have an amazing day.